Hello, everyone. Welcome to Feedstuffs 365. I'm Sarah Muirhead. Our topic today is ag tech innovations. And joining us to provide insight on where and what investments in technology for agriculture are ahead in 2025 is Jim Clark, partner, Granite Creek Capital Partners. Welcome, Jim. Nice to have you with us.
Thank you, Sarah. It's a pleasure to be here.
For those of you that are tuning in, feel free to post any questions you might have there in the chat area on your screen. If you're joining us from social media, you can post your questions directly in those feeds. So, Jim, when we talk about technologies in agriculture, there's several areas, of course, that we can dive into. But let's start with the efficiency enhancement. Those things like precision agriculture, automation, those technologies that are really moving to help drive efficiency in agriculture. What are you seeing going into, well, for the remainder of 2024? I guess we only got a couple months, but going into 2025, what do you see ahead?
Sarah, it's a great question, and it's a market trend that we at Granite Creek keep a close eye on. We are actively looking for growth investments in the ag space, and so those trends frequently come up with potential companies that we would provide capital to. At a macro level, though, we see continued slow and steady adoption. Interest broadly remains very high in these technologies. People want to improve their operations and drive profitability, but a lot of times it comes down to what is going to contribute to the factor to a farmer or a livestock grower to adopt one of these technologies. And the adoption rate we see is similar. The contributing factors are similar to what we've seen in prior years and what we think is going to carry on for the next few. First and foremost, a user wants to see that they have demonstrated case studies where the product or technology works, and there's some value and payback that they can see and justify not only their investment of time, but also in money. One is another macro factor in and around just if how that individual user's P&L is. A farmer that is making money is more willing to explore innovation or make an investment than when they're in the red. They obviously will look and give heavy consideration to the product's fit. Is it solving an experience problem, one that resonates with them, or is it a solution that has really interesting data but may not have something actionable they can do with it? And then kind of more practically, this plays a part in ag tech and has and will continue. It's, these technologies rely on infrastructure. That is internet access, bandwidth, the on-site technology that can survive in an outside environment and connect so that data can be collected and used. And then that goes down to a farmer or livestock grower wants it to be easy to use, easy to implement, easy to maintain, and the user interface is intuitive. To the extent that you have a product that's hard to use, it's going to be tough to drive adoption.
Great points. And yeah, we always love those technologies that are hard to use. We all kind of give up, don't we? At least I do. What about data? How important is that data component of ag tech? And are there any, kind of big innovations we should know about in that area?
Again, good question. Stating the obvious, data and data collection is everything. I mean, you only put in this technology, this hardware or software to collect data to then use it. And if you cannot, consistently and reliably collect data, it kind of undermines the entire thesis on why you're even doing this. Without kind of accurate collection of data and the thoughtful use of it, those investments are wasted. In terms of innovation, at least on the hardware and software side, we've not seen anything that I would characterize as novel. Most of the companies in the space are coming out, or their competitors or substitutes are coming out with the 2.0, 3.0, or 4.0 version of an existing technology, and it's just quicker, faster, better. That said, we do see really rapid improvements in the data models that are being used and applied to the data that's been collected. Um, in terms of why we've now been collecting data for many years. The data set's larger, so there's a higher end, more to kind of glean from. Um, there's less noise in the data. It's more reliable. The data integrity is higher. And as we know, and why we're talking about that, there's just a lot of attention on this theme and this trend, both in the public and private sector. There's lots of time and effort being put forth pursuing these activities at universities, in the venture community, and the ag industry at large. So that is just driving improvement. And last but not least, obviously AI has been around for several years and continues to grow in its adoption, and that has helped accelerate the continuous improvement of those data analysis models.
Do you see I know, as long we've been talking about the data, there's been a long standing concern about who owns the data or what are they going to do with my data. Do you see that out in the marketplace? Are they becoming less concerned with that and more confident that this data can be kept confidential or used in a proper way? Are we seeing that at the kind of that producer level, or is there still a lot of concern in that area?
I think there still is a lot of concern in whose data is it, where is it being stored, and how is it being used. In our investments that have relevant technologies, that collect data from our company's customers, that is, the most heavily negotiated part of any contract, whether it's an individual trial or study or ongoing monitoring. It's, hey, this is my data. You're not going to, this data will only be used in an aggregate blended set. It will be unidentified. It can't be traced back to me. Or, hey, I want you to pay me to license it, license and use my data. Those are common discussions in the field, and I think just the industry at large is still not fully comfortable that kind of this data being in the cloud or in some database somewhere is fully secure.
So we have a question from the audience, and we're going to jump into that. They're asking if you see the industry recovering from the ag tech investing hangover that we've been experiencing into 2025. Do you see that recovery coming, or what's your projections?
I mean, I think there's two sides of that. I mean, I can speak from a later stage growth perspective. Granite Creek is not a venture investor. I think the question speaks a lot to the early stage venture investing. There was, venture investing in across the board, across all end markets was down in the prior year, including AgTech. That's a function of a difficult fundraising environment and an emphasis more on, companies, turning the corner on commercialization and getting to profitability. In the lower middle market and the growth segment where Granite Creek plays, we've not really had a dip. We've kind of maintained activity, but that said, our companies that we engage with and invest behind have already crossed that transom of generating a profit and proving proof of concept and adoption. And our capital then is helping propel them forward to expand further. Get more market share, put more boots on the ground, do the next wave of innovation. But I still think there's going to be some reticence on the venture side of things here in 25, just as until the fundraising market normalizes, and quite frankly, some of those venture firms realize some exits and return capital to their limited partners.
You mentioned it, artificial intelligence. Where do you see AI fitting into the future tech landscape?
I mean, I think AI has been around and continues to be around. It's just increasing in prevalence and usage, and obviously, it's getting more time and attention from the public. But it's been being used for several years now. We just think it's going to continue to grow in terms of its importance and influence and driving future development. As mentioned in my prior answer, it's really driving the continuous improvement on the data models and the algorithms. It
Mhm.
just supplements the human data scientists and their work to continue to drive improvements forward. Um, AI is also going to be, integrated. We see it being integrated already into the sensors and monitoring devices themselves, both in the field and on the farm and on the animal. It just provides more real time feedback on kind of early warning signs. And for example, in livestock, there's biometrics that are being monitored, so that kind of illness or stress events are flagged early, and that's a byproduct of the AI that's incorporated into those devices. Um, and last but not least, farmers and livestock growers are using these algorithms and data to optimize their crop nutrition, crop protection, optimize rations, looking at breeding to kind of drive preferred genetic traits. I mean, all those things are happening, and we think they're going to continue to happen as the technology becomes more accessible.
So we hear a lot about sustainability, about regenerative agriculture. First, what are your thoughts on those sectors? And second, does ag innovation and technology play a role in helping producers and even the consumer goods side to meet some of those goals that they're setting out for those areas?
Yes, I mean, I believe, and I think Granite Creek believes that these trends are continue to be prevalent. I mean, first and foremost, people are voting with their wallet. Consumers are looking for and seeking out these types of products with cleaner labels and kind of visibility up the supply chain. And as importantly, I think the farmers themselves are realizing that some of these practices help preserve the value of their farming assets and the natural resources, which makes them retain and maintain their value long term. That said, as an investor, at least over the last 24 months, we've seen some of the momentum in these segments start to moderate or flag, and some of that is we saw some real strong and core inflation on the food side, and I think that changed some consumer buying decisions, and maybe some of the more premium products that had this level of visibility started to be feel less accessible, and then also I think there was some skepticism that, hey, is this data and how it's labeled verifiable? And ultimately, if it's not, can that command a premium that a lot of these products ask for? On the first point, I think consumers are continuing to show an interest, at least in certain segments of the market, and that should drive further adoption. On the second point, I think that fits perfectly with our broader conversation today, which is the more reliable the data is, that everyone in the value chain can identify that chain of custody from farm to table, it's going and show the impact throughout. I think that will give people greater comfort to pursue these investments, as well as charge these premium prices for these products. So I think data is absolutely key to further driving the kind of value proposition around sustainability and regenerative ag.
We can't measure what we don't know. So another question from the audience: where do you see the talent challenges in the ag tech growth and investing in the next couple of years? Where do you see us, those talent issues?
I mean, I think there's two ways to answer that question. There's the people who are on the farm and doing a lot of the work. I don't think that problem is going to abate. I think it is a problem, will continue to be a problem as it may pertain to you know people who are master's degrees and PhDs and scientists. I still think there is a strong interest in pursuing these endeavors. I think they view it as both cutting edge and as well as highly relevant to the U.S. and global economy, and feeling like their work makes an impact. So, I think from a talent perspective, I think the companies upstream who are rolling out the technology will still be able to attract and bring in talent. I think at the farm level, that will continue to be a challenge and kind of drive the need for automation and things that allow uh, individuals on the farm to do more with less.
So let's narrow it down a little more to the livestock sector, animal breeding and production. Any new innovation there that we really should be aware of or want to talk about?
I mean, what we've seen mostly is more and more, because this data set exists and they're tying it back to genetics. It is then being incorporated into what genetics that people are pursuing, depending on where they are in the world or in the country, what their desired outcomes are from a kind of a feed performance, how the animal produces protein, health, other environmental factors. They're using the data that's being collected and now linking it to genetics, and then that is, we see that's now informing um, decisions on which genetics to use, as well as some of the biometric data. Allows farmers to choose when to basically pursue kind of first conception breeding and maintain efficiency on the genetic side. So those are two ways that we're seeing data play out on the breeding and genetics space.
So as we look to wrap up here, any key points you want to leave our audience with today?
I think hopefully this is takeaways are.
Oh, I think we lost you there.
Sorry about that. I
Yeah.
think there's going to be continued adoption of AgTech. There really is going to be an emphasis on not just data collection, but data quality and the integrity of that data, so it can be used and real insights can be gleaned. And then I think obviously as the data set grows, there's going to be more and more outputs of the data models and kind of its use, whether from nutrition decisions, health decisions, breeding decisions, planting decisions, across the board. And then last but not least, I mean, obviously, as we said, Granite Creek, is a growth investor. We look at companies with established technologies that are looking for a partner to help them get to the next level. And we think at least in that space where companies have kind of passed the proof of concept and customer adoption, we think that there is still strong interest and opportunity to attract capital and grow.
Our thanks to you, Jim. Thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you, Sarah. Really appreciate it. Appreciate you having me.
Jim Clark of Granite Creek Capital Partners. Thank you all for joining us as well. We appreciate you giving a little bit of your time here for us. A reminder, all Feedstuffs 365 interviews are available on feedstuffs.com. Until next time, for Feedstuffs, I'm Sarah Muirhead.